Hello and welcome to one of three parts of the 2018 Political Forum presented by the Rocky Hill Chamber of Commerce. My name is Brian Wazina and I'm the president of the Chamber. Thank you for joining us tonight. Rocky Hill Chamber is proud to present this program to help get information out to the voters. I want to thank the candidates for meeting with us today and Rocky Hill Community Television for the use of this great facility. Today we are joined by Ed Sharman, candidate for Connecticut's 9th District in the State Senate. This district covers Rocky Hill, Cromwell, Newington, parts of Wethersfield, and most of Middletown. Ed, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for the invite.
I would like to start off by hearing a little bit about you. Can you tell your audience a little bit about your background and what led to you being here today?
Sure, I'd be glad to. It's always good to start out that way. Listen, I'll kind of work back from where I am at the moment. Right now, I'm the minority leader on the Rocky Hill Town Council. Prior to that, I enjoyed a long stretch, chairman of Open Spaces Commission at one time, chairman of the Insurance Committee here in town as well for more than 10 years. And then prior to that, listen, I was born in Middletown, Middlesex Memorial Hospital. I grew up in Newington my entire life. Moved away with the insurance industry, landed a job, moved to New York City, came back. Married a girl from Malden, Mass, Tricia. We've been married 34 years. We have 4 children. We moved back to Rocky Hill, and we've been here ever since, and we've raised them, 4 children here and 3 labs in a small 995 square foot ranch here in town. And it's a great town. It's an awesome place to bring up children and teach them to be active in the community and what have you. I started a small business here in the district, so I do hear firsthand every day about what people are thinking, their trials and tribulations, but my business is right here in Rocky Hill, and it's 19 years old, so it's not that new anymore. And then as far as my education, I'm a UConn grad, a business degree, and a few things about me is that I'm very fortunate. I'm endorsed by the CBIA, the Connecticut Industry and Business Association. I'm also endorsed by the NFIB, which is the National Federation of Independent Businesses. I'm also endorsed by the CCDL, which is the Connecticut Citizens Defense League, and got an A rating with the NRA. I do have a license. My family has a license. I'm not a hunter, but I am for protecting all rights that currently exist for citizens.
Excellent. I'm going to ask you 6 questions, the same 6 questions I've been asking all of the candidates. We've given them to all the candidates ahead of time. And question 1 is, what are the first 3 goals you plan to accomplish if you're elected?
So I'm assuming that right now, for this discussion, that the court injunction that was placed by Senator Joe Markley of Southington, now Joe Markley, Lieutenant Governor candidate, Joe placed a court injunction against the $10 million bond appropriation for this $10 million study for tolls. So that's in the courts. I'm assuming that will still be there. So that would have an urgency to it that I think we would need to get right to it on day one and figure out which direction that's going in, and we would want to stop tolls. We would want to stop that study, as there are 4 studies right now down at the DOT. We don't need a new one, and certainly not at the price tag of $10 million. So that would be a priority for me. The second priority would be really to get a quick look around, because we need to assess what kinds of expenses the state has, what kind of shape our budget's in terms of what's being spent and where it's being spent. We need to get a handle on that real quick if we intend to make some changes. And I think thirdly is, it's the economy, and we have to start cutting taxes somewhere. So those are the 3 priorities that I know I'll be challenged with when I become elected.
Great, thank you. What do you think about the business climate in our district, and how will you attract and retain businesses in this district?
Look, Brian, we're in a great district, the 9th Senate District, and the citizens are very hardworking, but I can tell you there's a lot of pressure on folks. Small business owners are feeling pressure. Residents are feeling pressure. They're not as out and about buying. Look, Cromwell's doing the right thing. They had a mill rate cut their last budget cycle. Kudos to Mayor Enzo Faenza. And they're seeing some real growth down there now in terms of new businesses. Rocky Hill in the recent past has had some double-digit Main Street growth from new businesses. But overall, what I'm hearing in the district is that they're overtaxed and overregulated, and we need to cut and streamline a little bit. And if we do begin to cut taxes, I think we'll see that we'll begin to grow our business sector even more so. So I'm hearing that people are stressed a little bit. It's kind of going to be a theme for me, but unfunded or partially funded mandates coming down from the state is actually quite a large issue. And when they do hit the local towns and cities, the municipalities, the towns and cities have no choice but to either increase mill rates, to increase taxes. Look, if you're a small business, you own a building, your taxes are going up. If you don't own a building, the tax assessor's coming through and he's evaluating all the equipment and inventory that you have inside and you're paying taxes on it. So if we could control that, I think businesses are saying that they want to see property taxes controlled.
With the uncertainty of the state budget that may include large cuts in state aid, how would you propose making up the revenue lost from those cuts?
So a theme of my campaign is to stop the fall. Right now we're falling, we're shrinking, we're contracting, so any expense is going to seem larger with less opportunity to pay it off. So I think what we have to do is concentrate on stopping the outflow of businesses, stopping the outflow of residents on the younger side and on the successful retiree side, and begin then to grow businesses by reducing taxes. If we begin to grow, growth will drive more revenue and we'll be able to handle some of those expenses. But I do not think that we want to raise taxes to generate revenues to try to provide for services or other expenses.
With an ever-increasing need for senior activities and excellent schools to maintain a healthy district, how can you help secure funding for these important areas?
So the first thing that we can do, and also I'll say the 9th District is strong on education. Rocky Hill alone is seeing a high school renovation, a new Mosier School, and a groundbreaking for a CREC school, a grade school for science and the sciences and engineering. So listen, programs are operating at a very high level. The boards of eds in these towns in the 9th District are meeting their goals set down by the state to qualify for the ECS funding, which is the education cost-sharing funding. The state does not follow a very good, they have a formula. It is fairly transparent. There are some areas that we're not able to calculate, but we can't rely on the formula. We can't even rely on what we got last year. And so in order to help fund the school systems, we need to give the local municipalities some certainty about that ECS grant funding formula. And one of the ways we can do that, again, is try to control, if not eliminate, mandates. And maybe one of the things we could do to say to the towns in the 9th District is, hey, look, pick some of the mandates. I mean, some of them you maybe already completed, you're already there, but pick some of them, meet some of them, don't worry about meeting them all, because those are all expenses. They take away from the budget. And we have to allow the towns to be able to have their budget, to predict what their spending is going to be, and to rely on those state funds coming in. So I can tell you that in Rocky Hill during our budget season, had to budget a little bit more because we weren't sure. We thought there was going to be not a couple $100,000, but maybe $1 million or $2 million shortfall on the ECS funding grant. So bringing some predictability to what the state is funding, and the state should fund what they said they're going to fund. That alone will bring certainty and better funding to our school systems.
Thank you. Businesses often talk about the high cost of doing business in the state of Connecticut. Are there any taxes or fees that you think we should eliminate right away? And are you in support of tolls or other fees that will affect the cost of businesses in Connecticut?
So look, right out of the box, tolls is another tax on our citizens. There's a lot of myths around tolls, how they could be implemented, but they're an expense to our citizenry. Case in point would be neighboring state, Massachusetts, has some tolling, and they have some large uncollected tolling balances. who's going to pay? The residents. Now, if we're trying to foster economic development, why would we create more friction on our, transportation, the movement around the state, around the district, delivering goods and services, and now we're going to toll it. So just, in my mind, would just put a further drag on our effort to build up our economic activity within the 9th District and within the state of Connecticut. So I'm not for tolling at all. I think right away out of the box, one of the easiest things to do is maybe eliminate the entity tax. A lot of folks are talking about that. Look, no campaign out there, Democrat, Republican, or unaffiliated, is saying that the state's not broke and doesn't have to be fixed. So it's not me, right? I'm not saying it. I'm saying we got to cut some taxes, and we have to help the business community get moving again.
One of the things we hear a lot in business is how hard it is to find good workers. What will you do to help provide education to the workforce, and how will you keep those educated workers from leaving the state of Connecticut?
So currently, students coming out of our secondary education, our colleges and universities, highly skilled, they may take a job with a large corporation here in the state. The dynamic here is larger corporations like to rotate in their first promotions or out to bigger cities, right? You're a single, upwardly mobile, young professional, you're not married, you don't have kids, you don't have a house to sell. Hey, you want to go to Boston, you want to go to San Francisco, you want to go to New York, you want to go to Chicago. So folks are naturally going out for those first promotions, but what we need to do is have those kids want to come back when they're ready to, when they've met someone special, they're going to start a family, come back to Connecticut and start a family. So, they need to be able to feel that the Connecticut is going to be there for them, that the tax structure is going to be welcoming, that they can find the right real estate, and the right kinds of social environment. Now, we're in the best geography of really any state. We have to be so positive and upbeat about Connecticut. We're on the coast. We're an import-export state. We're between New York City and Boston. It doesn't get any better than that. So we have all the sports, Boston Yankees, Bruins, Rangers. We really have everything we could possibly want in terms of social fabric. So we need to really be able to sell that to our younger kids to come back. As I think that we can do a better job at doing that. Now, in terms of creating a better workforce, look, the apprentice programs for the machining industry, we need to look at these apprentice programs, help them out, identify them. I am aware right now that manufacturing is on a bit of a high because defense contracting, right, is up. Our defense contractors are spending money, they're building things, they have contracts. So there are machine shops, there are defense contractors who literally are going into classrooms at some of our community colleges and trying to hire kids at the desk. So those stories are out there, they're kind of real, but we have to make sure that our kids realize that it's okay to go to get a 2-year degree in machining and programming. Some of these jobs pay $80,000, $90,000 a year. They need to take a second look at that while they're continuing their education, maybe to a 4-year degree. So we have to maybe educate a little bit more in that respect. Maybe cut out some of the red tape in these areas for students to get into programs and move into the job sector.
Thank you. That completes the questions. Is there anything that you would like to add to today's program to the viewers?
Look, I would consider it an honor and a privilege to go up to Hartford to represent the 9th District. I have not been there before. I'm not a career politician, but I would welcome this opportunity to go up there and be part of a historic team that will help Connecticut solve some of our current problems. And we all feel that there are problems, but I'm an upbeat person. I want to work by building consensus. I would like very much to be part of that new team. There is going to be a new team. So I'd like that opportunity, and I ask for your vote on November 6th.
Ed, on behalf of the Rocky Hill Chamber of Commerce, I want to thank you for participating in this program. I'd also like to thank everyone who worked behind the scenes, Michael Toole, Henry Vassal, Andy and Dave from Rocky Hill Community TV. And you can find more information about the Rocky Hill Chamber of Commerce at rhchamber.org. Go out and support a Rocky Hill business today. Thank you.